Hello all you lovely gacha gamers. Recently, I was given access to one of the most promising upcoming gacha games, Arknights Endfield. So, in celebration of this game, we're going to go over everything this beta test has to offer. Today's video is going to be about first impressions, detailing what to expect and how this game differentiates itself from the others. From the characters, to the map, to the gameplay, we will go over it all. Before we get started, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Doing so helps me make the best content I can, and I greatly appreciate you all who have done so already. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. You start off your journey on a long elevator trip before finally getting to decide your main character. Right after this, you are thrust into a desolate white world devoid of all life. You continue through this world until this woman suddenly appears, causing a giant explosion that winds up with you floating aimlessly in space. Talking about the intro, I love the cinematic look that the game is providing while it's building the first looks. A lot happens early on, before you even really figure out who you are. In gacha games specifically, you need to have a good introduction to your world, as you will be spending a lot of time in it as a player. The unease and mystery that is immediately created gets you invested right away, helping prepare and set up the future story. You are quickly introduced to who you are and what faction you are a part of. The game proceeds to waste absolutely no time, quickly tossing you right into your first look at the hands-on combat of the world through a very action-filled cinematic. The cinematics continue to impress, helping create a good idea of what we can expect for the rest of the game. Even as we are introduced to more and more of Talos 2, we are shown that the moon has much more hidden on it. With antagonistic factions out to cause chaos, it falls to us to stop them. This introduction is a promising sign of what we can expect moving forward. After Talos 2's warm welcome, we get started right away on some serious combat. While the game had already given you instructions to the combat prior to this event, these enemies are where the fights seem to be much more serious. Arknights Endfield has a very unique combat system that rivals many games of the same genre. Firstly, your entire team is actually on the field fighting alongside you. They can perform basic attacks, dodge attacks, and take damage the same as you do. When I first learned of this combat, I was so excited to finally get my hands dirty and to see how it works firsthand. The main thing about combat is that instead of relying on cooldowns or energy regen, you are instead relying on a skill point system. You start every battle with 2 skill points, and you can generate up to a total of 3. Each time you use a skill, it will cost you 1 skill point, and if you run out, you must perform a full basic attack combo to deliver a final strike to generate more skill points. Besides these combos, you can also generate it passively while the fights go on, but this can take too long to rely on. Another added feature is that each character has certain conditions that, once met, allow them to use a combo strike to do an extra effective follow-up attack on an enemy. When you can set these up in combat properly, it feels very satisfying to do it as it dishes out tons of damage. Combining these with your skills will help you weave attacks together to defeat most of your enemies. Finally, while using your skill does cost skill points, it in turn generates the resource for you to use your character's ultimate. Only by using skills will you be able to effectively generate ultimate charge for your characters, so make sure to use them wisely as they are very strong abilities. Now, with the talk of combat out of the way, let's move on to the characters themselves and the roles they play on your team. When it comes to the characters that you will be filling up your team with, there are 5 roles listed. That being guards, defenders, support, casters, and specialists. Guards are your characters that focus on crowd controlling techniques similar to knockdown or lift up. They are great for dealing with large groups of enemies. Defenders are your tanks that can provide a bit of sustain, helping support your weaker characters. Support are your basic buffers and healers. Casters are the characters who are focused around using their specific skills to do lots of damage. These characters are great to use in tandem with other roles. Finally, your specialists are your characters that require other members of your team to help them achieve maximum damage potential. While advancing through the game, you are able to achieve 4 team slots, which means the ability to mix and match characters out of the 5 roles. I have found myself personally using a support constantly as the added buff to attack, as well as the added heals are very nice. That being said, the potential of having a caster and a guard for putting out serious damage is also a nice touch as well. You truly have the option to personalize your team to be able to work with their combo skills, meaning that there isn't just one correct answer. Each combination will provide a different type of gameplay. After unlocking the 4th team slot, the real team building begins, as each character also now comes with certain elements. And for some characters, their combo skills either only work with art's reactions or when certain statuses are inflicted on enemies. Making sure that all 4 members of your team can work with each other is just another fun part of the team building in this game. Speaking of those arts reactions, currently from what I can tell, there are various arts elements in the game. We have heat, electric, nature, and cryo so far. Each arts can interact with itself or react with a different arts to cause a new reaction. As an example, dealing 2 types of the same infliction, so in this case heat and heat, will cause an arts burst of that specific element type, while dealing 2 different inflictions, so in this case electric and heat, will cause an arts reaction, which in this case would be called combust. Learning how to build your teams around combo skills is truly only the first step. Managing how to properly focus on either the physical status of the crowd control abilities or the arts reactions of the same or different arts elements will be the true way to set you up with a strong team. Now, with the talk of characters out of the way, we can get into the truly unique part of this gacha game, the factory building. Arknights Endfield isn't just an open world gacha game. No. It's also a factory building simulator. Building a factory is actually very crucial to the overall gameplay, as puzzles throughout the map and also creating equipment for your characters will require you to have a proper setup in place. When the factory first drops down in the story, it is a daunting and shocking feature to have included in the game, and very quickly you might get overwhelmed. Worry not, as they have plenty of explanations, and later on they even lead you through how-to tutorials so you can learn how to make and craft anything you will require in the game, even teaching you how to start the automation process on certain resources. The best part? Just like Arknights with the tower defense game, Enfield also has the ability for you to power and deploy towers to fight alongside you while you engage in combat. Certain missions even recommend you to do so, that way the overall difficulty won't be as dangerous. However, it's not simply all tower defense, as you will find yourself also focused on setting automation and conveyor belts. Similar to how Satisfactory plays, you will be constructing a grand automated factory in this gacha game, so it's useful to pay attention to these tutorials, as you'll need to understand some more complicated mechanics. So far, I have thoroughly been enjoying all that the factory system has to offer, even sinking a fourth of my total playtime in the game just to manage and work on my factory. The more story missions you unlock, the more features of your factory keep coming online, and it only gives you access to more and more things, which increase the overall joy of constructing. The gacha system within Arknights Endfield is quite interesting. We need to talk about 2 different factors, that being the headhunts, which are going to be your character banner, and the arsenal exchange, where you can find your weapon banners. Both of these banners function entirely differently and are separate from each other, so I will give a brief explanation about the system as it stands currently. I will explain the headhunt first, as this is the simplest to explain. In this game, your characters range from 4 stars to 6 stars in terms of rarity. Every 10 pulls you do will always guarantee you a 5-star character. This happens even if you do them in singles. After you complete 65 pulls and you don't pull a 6-star character, the game will slowly ramp up the chance until you hit 80 pulls. This is similar to a lot of gacha games so far, with the 65 pulls being the soft pity that a lot of people discover when it comes to banners. The banner will even keep track and notify you how far you are from pulling your next 5 or 6 star, similar to how Zenless Zone Zero does it. Now this is where it gets a bit different. Once you hit a 6-star or get to 80 pulls, if you did not roll the limited character, the chance to get a 6-star resets. However, once you get to 120 pulls, you will be guaranteed the limited character once, which means if you are truly unlucky, then you at least can get them in 120 pulls. Now, what needs to be understood is that building up to the 120 hard pity does not carry over. Building up to the normal 80 pulls will carry over, but there is only 1 hard pity per banner. If you intend to save up for a character, your best bet will be to ensure you have enough pulls to get up to 120 pulls in the worst case. Doing 80 pulls and not getting them will not help you out in the next banner, as you will have to restart over at 1 for the 120. The only thing that will carry over is the pulls up to the pity of getting a 6-star at 80 pulls. With the character banner out of the way, let's talk about the weapon banner, which is called the Arsenal Exchange. This banner could very well be the most amazing weapon banner I have seen in gacha games, and that's comparing it to Wuthering Waves' weapon banner. To start, the Arsenal Exchange is a banner that will guarantee the limited weapons on it after 8 attempts, which is basically 80 pulls, and that is similar to Wuthering Waves. However, it will also guarantee a 6-star weapon every 4 attempts or 40 pulls, which means that if you are aiming for the limited 6-star weapon, you will essentially have one chance before being guaranteed the weapon in 8 attempts. Now, similar to the Headhunt banner, none of this pity will carry over at all. Because of this, I highly recommend, again, to only make sure to pull on these banners when you are pulling for a certain character that you want. With that out of the way, let's discuss how you obtain this currency. From what I have gathered this early on, you are able to obtain the token through some in-game rewards, through using the Orables, which I do not recommend, and then through a game mode that you will unlock later in the game that gives you around 2k of the currency every week or two. The final way is by simply performing headhunting, which is to say, by pulling for that character you want in the limited banner, you will slowly acquire arsenal tokens you can then use to attempt to get the limited weapon. On that note, I believe that's everything I think needs to be touched on for this first impressions video. There is still a lot to discuss and talk about regarding Arknights Endfield. However, I feel like it really can't be captured all in one singular video. I will definitely be going into more detail on certain aspects relating to the characters, combat, and factory functions in their own separate videos. So if you enjoyed what you saw, make sure to like and subscribe. This way you can be notified the moment the next video goes up. I'm going to be hard at work making sure to get more content out to you. Also, be sure to stop by my streams over at twitch.tv/lenryax, where I will be spending most of my time streaming and making progress on the game while this closed beta test lasts. Please let me know in the comment section what you are the most excited about with Arknights Endfield, and maybe things you might want me to cover in greater detail. Thank you for watching the video, and I will catch you all on the next one.